Hi, it's Paulina from YNIK Designs, previously You Need I Knit, and I'm going to be doing with you the gauge swatch pattern for the Magnolia so that you can do the pattern easier, okay? I'm going to be using yarn Lamia 100% bamboo, which is 125 yards for a 50-gram ball, and it's really good for summer. I have done previously the first 3 rows, 29 stitches of garter stitch of knit, and now I'm going to do row 4. Okay, so the first stitch is knit, so I'm either going to pass it or knit it. Then it says bind off, so in order to bind off I need to knit 2 stitches, so I'm going to knit 1, knit 2, and then I'm going to bind off the first stitch. To bind off, I need to knit 2 stitches. So I'm going to knit 1, knit 2, and then I'm going to bind off the first stitch, then knit, bind off the second stitch, knit, bind off the third stitch, knit, bind off the fourth stitch, knit, bind off the 5th stitch, and I'm going to knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put a little note saying that you'll have 6 because you have the 5 that you just knitted plus the last one that was left standing from the bind off. And we're going to bind off 5 again, so we knit 2 to bind off our first stitch, and we're left with 1 knit stitch, which is how it says. So we are left with 1 knit stitch on either side plus the 3 holes. Then we're going to turn our work and we're going to do our purl side. So for the purl side, first stitch you can either purl it or pass it. So we pass it, and then it's asking us to cast on 5. So in order to cast on, we're going to turn our work and we're going to use that purl stitch to do the knitted cast on. The stitch to pull it through and put it on the needle, and for the rest we're going to go in between the last 2 stitches to do the knitted cast on. You can look for a tutorial for the knitted cast on. So we have 2, 3, so we have our 5 cast on stitches. Then we're going to return our work to the direction that we were going, and we're going to purl 6. So 1, 2, so we turn our work to do the knitted cast on, and we're going to go in between the last 2 stitches, and we're going to cast on 1, and we repeat. We turn our work and do a cast on again for the last time for the last 5 stitches. And I'll come back to you. So you do a knit and a purl row, and I'll come back to you. Alright, so I'm back after I've done my knit and purl rows. So this is how it looks ready for row 10. So you have your little 3 holes there. Now we're going to do row 10. So row 10, we need to do the holes in between because they're not going to be in the same place. So that's why we're going to do a knit 7. So we're going to do a 1, 2, 3, 5. You got it. Need to knit 2. So we knit 2 to bind off that first stitch. Oops. 5. Then we're going to knit 5. So 1, So we turn our work and we do our knitted cast on. So we're gonna do our knitted cast on for 5. So we're gonna go ahead put our yarn in the middle and we're gonna cast on 5. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is where we're at. So we are at row 15. So we have our 3 holes and then our 2 holes, and now it says repeat 4 to 8. So basically you're gonna repeat this one more time so that you can do the gauge swatch, so you can measure your gauge. Your gauge is not the whole thing, it's 17 stitches by 20 rows. So if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me at youknit@gmail.com, or you can go into my Instagram or on Ravelry You Need I Knit, and I'll be able to help you. Thank you so much for following.